pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, all council members are here except Councilmember Zorns, who's absent and excused. Meeting agenda approval. Is there any changes to tonight's meeting agenda? Deputy Mayor?
I'd like to pull AB 19-191.
All right, any other changes to tonight's agenda?
Yes, I'd like to pull AB 19-193.
Okay, any other changes? Good on this side? Okay. All right, next is the, oh wait, before I get into public engagement opportunities, I wrote a speech. We had an interesting council meeting last week, and I went home and contemplated it, so I actually had some words put to paper, I should say. So I just want to take a moment and read this. Over the past 8 years, I have been committed to a vision of transparent, trustful, inclusive, and respectful city council that is focused on serving our community. We have made great strides, and I am very proud of us. These principles were not valued when I first joined the council, and I am very proud that as mayor over the last 4 years, we have embraced and modeled these principles. I feel compelled to impart this vision onto you to challenge each of you, the council, to remain committed to these principles as they have served us well over the past 4 years. Each spring we come together as a council for a full day to identify our goals for the coming year. Although we may not each get all what we want, we agree as a council to these goals, thereby uniting us in our vision for the city. These goals are direction to the city manager to bring forward for our consideration of new laws, programs, and services that help us accomplish these agreed upon goals. Consistently using our organizational values and our principles of transparency, trust, inclusiveness, respect, and service to our community, the council can discuss, debate, and make the best decisions for our community when considering new laws, programs, services for our community. Disrespect and intentional divisiveness is a disservice to our community, who should always remain our priority. And I'm going to read that one again. Disrespect and intentional divisiveness is a disservice to our community, who should always remain our priority. I urge you all to stay committed to the principles that have guided our work over the past 4 years. Bothell deserves a council that shines positively and brightly in these times of national and global uncertainty and leads by example, demonstrating transparency, trust, inclusiveness, respect, and service. Okay, so there's that. Next is the public engagement opportunities. Ooh, that's small type. Sunday, December 1st, tree lighting ceremony, Main Street, 2 to 7 p.m. Thursday, December 5th, Bothell Historical Transportation Series, The Future. Join guest speaker, Aaron, I always want to call you Lionheart. I don't know why, too much, what's that called? Game of Thrones, that's the one. Leonhardt, Bothell Public Works Director at 7 p.m. at the library to learn about what the future holds for Bothell Transportation. Visit our website for more information. Next is the staff briefings. We have a safety committee update from Katie Thelen and Jesse Otti. How's it?
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. My name is Katie Thielen. I am the safety manager. This is Jesse Ott. Jesse is a Parks and Recreation lead. He is also this year's safety committee chairperson. For those of you who may not know, the safety manager position was brand new when I started. I started in April of 2018. Before that, there was not a dedicated staff member that solely focused on safety and managing workers' compensation claims. Since I started here in 2018, in my experience, I've had about 18 years of safety experience. It's been a real pleasure and a joy to work here. Exec staff team are incredibly supportive, and safety really does have to come from the top down. I'm incredibly proud of the work that we've been able to do so far. Supervisors and managers are incredibly supportive. They allow employees to speak up, ask questions, attend training, and our employees are incredibly engaged. As you know, safety is a core value here at the city. In safety, we have almost 400 employees who are employed here at the City of Bothell. And if you think about it, these employees work for our community, and many of them get into a car and are driving in our community each and every day. They are working in our communities. They have thousands of miles put on vehicles each and every year and every month, right? So safety is not just for employee safety, but it's also for the safety of the communities. If we can instill a safe culture of our employees, our work groups, it does help our communities get safer. We have our employees are diverting traffic. They are excavating. They're doing really high hazard work. So it's really important that, and I'm really happy with the work that we've done in our safety program. I did want to go over a couple of successes that we've been able to accomplish this year. So far, the beginning of this year, we joined the Association of Washington Cities Safety Retro Program. And what they do is they help manage our workers' compensation claims. This allows me to focus some extra time on doing other safety management stuff, although I still spend a lot of time managing workers' compensation claims. Their help is really beneficial. And through the help of AWC, we've been able to implement a return to work light duty program. And so this is actually a program that's sponsored by Washington Labor and Industries. And if we can bring an injured employee back to work in a light duty capacity, say it's a field staff member, if we could bring them back to work filing or copying or doing some other productive work that meets with their restrictions, L&I will actually compensate us 50% of those employees' wages. So far this year, we've collected $25,000 in wages for the Return to Work program, and we will continue to earn money through that program. And bringing people back on the light duty is also really good for the employee. The data shows that when we can bring employees back to work, they return to work faster and they return to the job of injury quicker. Another major accomplishment we've been able to do this year that's been really exciting is I'm a real big advocate on hearing conservation and hearing loss. And this year, we were able to dive in deep in the fire department. When you think of fire, and I say high hazard, you don't typically think of noise exposure and hearing loss. But firefighters do suffer an incredible amount of high hazard noise. So I met with fire department and said, what can we do to help reduce your level of noise and keep your hearing as optimal as it can be? And they gave me options. We did some monitoring. They said, if we could get these wireless David Clark headsets, that will allow this person who's doing this incredibly important job, who's on the rig, who has to operate the engine when they monitor how much water pressure is being given in the hose, that is incredibly loud. And if we can give them the David Clark headsets, they'll still be able to hear the radio communication and get some hearing protection at the same time. So that's been really helpful. We've also done other hearing protection, conservation issues for them with molded hearing protection and training and annual hearing tests. So we're not done. We've broken some ground. We're getting closer into it. The major thing with hearing and hearing loss is there's no outward signs of damage. When you lose your hearing, it's gone. And it really does affect the quality of your life. So lastly, we've actually been able to update or implement about 8 safety programs this year. Some of the implementation will actually happen next year, but we've been able to make big headway in getting some safety programs up and off the ground. And again, I'm not doing this myself. I'm doing this with the support of the staff here, and it's been really, I'm really proud of the work that we've done. So thank you. Jesse?
Good evening. Safety is one of the 5 main values we have as city employees, and the Citywide Safety Committee views safety as a collective value we share, as well as a practice. To help lessen the load of work the committee is responsible for carrying out, we set up 3 subcommittees. The first committee is the Safety Oversight Subcommittee, whose purpose is to develop the implementation of metrics reporting and to develop and implement the Safety Superstar Award. The second subcommittee is the Training and Education. This subcommittee identifies what trainings are required and helps to ensure that staff attend these trainings. The third subcommittee is the Inspection Committee. Their role is to perform inspections of all city facilities, ensure AED inspections are completed, and to ensure any emergency alarming systems are tested. These subcommittees have helped our program innovate and develop new ideas and approaches to our safety program. Our safety program monitors and inspects municipal buildings and workspaces for potential safety hazards. The Citywide Safety Committee has modernized our workplace safety inspection and tracking process by implementing a modern digital inspection program called iAuditor. Using a digital pad, safety committee members can identify potential safety hazards and ensure a resolution to those hazards has been identified. We introduced our Safety Superstar Award this year. Staff can nominate a coworker that has implemented a safety solution with significant measurable results or went the extra mile to assure the safety of another person. And this award comes with a much sought after dedicated parking space. We implemented our hazard ID form this year. This form allows the staff to notify the safety committee of safety concerns or near miss incidents which help identify potential accidents. This form can be submitted anonymously, and once a hazard has been identified, the committee and safety manager are held responsible to find a resolution to that hazard. And finally, we had our second annual safety rodeo at Cedar Grove Park this year. This safety event brings city staff from all departments together for a couple hours in September to promote and celebrate our safe work practices. We gather to meet with safety-related vendors, watch skills demonstrations, and to promote safe work practices throughout the city. That is all we have for you today for this briefing. Thank you for your time, and we'll be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I have a quick question for you. So for the things that come up like in near misses and that type of thing, is there a budget that's allocated to you, or do you have to go back to the departments to ask for, I should probably know this, but do you have to go back to the departments to ask them for funding to like get the headsets and that type of thing, or is it a different fund?
Yeah, this year, it really depends on the hazard, what we're trying to mitigate, and the cost. Typically, once the program gets more established, if there's a high budget item that if it is only going to affect or help one department, those funds would typically come from one department. But if it's something that can help the city as a whole, then we could look at having a portion of that come from my safety budget.
Okay, so you do have some funds.
I would help some, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Because yeah, sometimes it's not budgeted and something
Right.
comes up and then you want to react and, okay,
Yeah.
cool. Thank you. It's really important work. Appreciate it, guys.
Thank you.
Is there any other questions? No? Okay. Next staff report briefing is the utility billing update. Jennifer Sackett and David Bickle.
Hi, I'm David Bickle. I was the project manager on the Enhanced Utility Billing Project, worked with several departments throughout the city to bring the new project to fruition. Jennifer is off making phone calls and being busy, so it'll just be me today. So when we first started looking at a new system, we outlined several benefits that we wanted to bring to the city employees and our customers. So let's take a peek at those and see how we measured up. So customer side, holy cow, online payments, please. That was definitely a big hit on the wish list. So an online account that allows online payments, people to sign up for paper-free billing and allow historical inquiry into their past bills and consumption. We also wanted to provide new payment avenues that a lot of customers were asking for American Express, e-checks, and automatic payments. On the city side, the utility billing system and the financial system were under different roofs. We wanted to bring those together to reduce effort and reconciliation and transferring one system to the other. Also wanted to provide a layer of future proofing to allow integration with external providers. That helps us in that avenue. The antiquated meter reading system really needed to be modernized, so we did that as well. And then we had two very measurable metrics, reducing phone payments and reducing delinquent payments. So let's look at some numbers and see how we did. So we went live in July 29th was our go live date. And in the first 2 weeks, we had very broad acceptance. So we had 570 accounts made in 2 weeks. That was awesome. $750,000, almost 1,000 transactions were taken at the front desk right out there. And we had $100,000 in online payments in 2 weeks. And through Monday of last week, we're approaching 2,000 accounts. We have 331 paper-free subscribers, which I'd like to see that number increase. 157 that are choosing to receive an email and print. And then we have 800-ish automatic payment subscribers. So this slide has a lot going on, so let me try and break this down. April and June, those represent the last bills out of the old system. So they were generated and paid in the old system. They're there just for comparison purposes. August was our first bill. Consider that the transitory bill that was generated and printed out of the old system, converted and paid for in the new system. October is our first end-to-end bill in the new system. So the next thing I want to call it is the gray. That is externally processed payments. So in the old system, customers would mail a check to a P.O. box in Seattle. A third party would process it and let us know what bill they were paying. We had to ingest the payments, whole rigmarole there. So we were looking to move away from that for a variety of reasons. Next thing I want to call out is that blue section, ACH. Those are electronic payments that go bank to bank without sending a check or anything like that. It's just bank to bank. Those dropped off a little unexpectedly. It turns out that an I was not dotted, a T was not crossed on the bank side of the project. So these electronic payments ended up coming to us as paper checks. They weren't able to send the money to us, so they processed as a paper check and mailed it to us. So that was unfortunate. We've corrected the issue, so come December, that should be back up to that historical 1,700. The green section there, in-house. So previously that was largely phone payments. People would call in, pay with their credit card. In the new system, we are now processing paper checks as well here on site. So that explosive growth there in August, expected, not quite to that level because of the ACH payment reduction. But our goal is to bring that green number down further. So the web payments, 871 web payments for that first bill. We see a nice increase in October. And then October was the first month that we could take those automatic or recurring payments. So predicting out in December, the recurring, we saw in the last slides, there's about 800 subscribers now. So add 500 there, conservative estimate to increase web payments, plus bringing ACH back up. We're looking at bringing in-house payments below 2,000, which was our goal initially. So how about late payment and shut-off processes? This one's a little easier to read. Delinquents, comparing April to October, we've seen a 35% reduction in late payments, which is fantastic. October shut-offs, you can see an uptick from August. That's still a 12% reduction from April. And the explanation there for the increase in October, come September, we had, as a courtesy, waived the shut-off process. We did not process shut-offs in September. Had a lot going on from the customer's perspective as well as the city. So that would explain the uptick in October. I think looking at the trends, I think August is an entirely reasonable estimate moving forward, if not even lower. So we've seen, as we call them periodic processes, we've seen large improvements there. So how did we do on the online portal? As with any new system, can expect a spectrum of responses. Overall, largely favorable. We have had a few topics come up in phone calls with customers, so I want to call out a few of those. So largely, the major issue was, where do I go? How do I pay my bill? We had placed all of this information on the utility billing page on the city website and realized there's a gap there. We need to have a big blue button right on the front homepage, so we added that, easy peasy. The website is unintuitive. So we've made changes where possible based on customer feedback, but using an out-of-box solution, as we are, we're limited in what changes we can make and really reliant upon the vendor to work with us on that. So we've expended much of our effort in this area around user education and training. So we created a few quick tip videos, posted them to YouTube, 1 minute, 2 minute, how do I sign up, how do I pay my bill? Those have been very well received. And we also created some paper step-by-step documentation for people that prefer that. Another audience we've heard from is residential landlords. They've found the move to owner-only billing challenging. So we've worked to make that a little bit easier. We've added an ability for tenants to call in and pay just based on the bill number. The account customer number that belongs to the owner is considered sensitive. So we ask them not to share that information. Tenants can now pay just using a bill number instead of trying to figure out where they live and whose account it is and whatnot. We've also proposed adding guest payments to our vendor so that if someone has the bill number, they can just pay one bill without having to create an account. That would help alleviate that as well. And last thing I'll call out here, the automatic payment enrollment. People found that, some found that confusing. We had 296 automatic payments that went through that first bill. There were about 24 that made it halfway through the enrollment process but thought they had fully enrolled. So we worked to clarify the sign-up process on the payment portal. People that showed that they had partially made it through enrollment, we waived their late fees, and we've submitted several requests to the vendor outlining areas where they could make that workflow a little more smooth. Like I say, we have received largely favorable response. I think my favorite was Olga saying someone literally screamed in her